This one's for the culture. Me and wifey in the room thinking of a master plan, thinking how we can influence the culture from where we stand. Knowing that our steps are ordered by the master's hand, still 10 toes down, we ain't switching up the stance. The mission of this music ain't just to make them dance, trying to tell them about the rock, cause they build.
And welcome to episode 27, the Eddie George episode of the Bond Chronicles. I am the amazing, super talented, and on my way to a great relationship series host, Mr. Bond Chronicles on Instagram. What?
Nothing. Just continue.
Goodness gracious, we haven't even got through an intro. I am Mr. Raymond on Twitter, and my happy and laughing host,
Mrs. Bond Chronicles on Instagram. Just Robyn Bond on Facebook. I still haven't fixed Twitter.
Yeah. And we are the Bond Chronicles, so please continue to like, share, and subscribe, and click that notification bell on YouTube. We've been dropping a lot of content throughout the week. We've got some really good engagement, so thank you to you all for your comments, for your feedback. We definitely appreciate that. It helps us recognize and really feel what you guys are feeling, so that we can know what kind of content to bring you, what kind of content to give you, and to make you a better couple in your relationship.
You should have been a car salesman.
Been in sales almost all my life.
I know, so it sounds like it.
That's what I do. Car salesman. If you were outside today, would have been miserable.
Facts.
As I had a t-shirt on and I was sweating profusely and it was miserable. But that's also because I'm overweight and I'm trying to get that together, but I'm not trying hard enough because I don't work out. So yes, car salesman.
It's transparency.
Yeah.
You know?
That's who we are. The Bond Chronicles is us. A lot of podcasters lie to you. We don't do that. Well, I don't. She is different.
So you're telling people I lied to them?
I feel like you withhold information sometimes.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's okay. I can call you out, but I'm not. That'd be rude. I protect my spouse first and my host second. Yeah. So we've had this series ongoing about relationships, and we've had some guests. We've had some interesting dialogue, some tidbits to take away to how to help a relationship, how to help you start a relationship, men, how to manage the financial aspect of a relationship, because everything is up. What Jadakiss said is true. The price yesterday isn't the price today. We got gas today, and I don't know if it's ever costing us that much to fill up our gas tank in our lives of this car. So
no, I feel like there was another time.
We was close to 50.
There's been a couple times, I think.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
I think it just depends on where we fill up to.
Well, the gas is up. And I don't know what's going to happen because Afghanistan's acting nuts right now. So I don't know how that's going to affect our oil and gas prices. But I hope now that we're getting out of the summer, it stays relatively low. Because we're about to have another kid. And we got to drive. So, relationships. Great time. Do you have any things you've taken away? Any nuggets, any tidbits? Some new things you've learned so far?
I'm not good at conflict resolution, but I knew that before. I've known that a long time, even before this relationship. So
have you learned a better way to resolve conflict?
Sure. Well, we can say that.
Now remember, we just talked about you lying to the people. So if you haven't learned anything, you can be honest and say, yeah.
I mean, no, like having Jackie and Zach on last week, they had some cool things to say about how they resolve conflict. Mm-hmm. And for what it's worth, like I know plenty of ways to resolve conflict. It's just actually utilizing them.
In the heat of battle.
In the heat of the moment is where I fall a little short.
Yeah.
So
I understand that can be difficult when you're a prize fighter and you're fighting the best fighter in the world. You have to come prepared with your full arsenal. And so sometimes what Mike Tyson said was everyone has a game plan, until they get punched in the face.
He does say that.
And so
yeah,
it's great to have all these tools, but really this is going a different direction a bit, but in our marriage group, they were asking about, are arguments important? And I felt, and I didn't elaborate on this, but I feel arguments can be important because they do a couple things. One, they can gauge growth. So if at day 1 of your relationship, when y'all first argued, you responded away, and at year 5, you're still responding the same way when there's an argument, you might want to do better. 2, and what was my other point? I had another. It was a good one. The second was better than the first one. Dang, it's gone. I'll drop that golden nugget another time if I get it. If not, that's too bad. But no, I think the key there is, so patience. And everyone prays for patience. I definitely have prayed for patience. The problem with praying for patience is you don't know if your patience has gotten better until you have to use patience.
I think a big part of it is like you pray for patience, and a lot of times God will put you in a situation where you have to be patient.
Right.
And it's like, this isn't how I wanted you to give me patience, Lord. Like we need to have a conversation, a little sidebar, because this isn't what I thought was going to happen. But, the saying, God doesn't do anything how we want it to be done. He just does it.
Yeah. Mysterious ways, that guy. But no, it's great for growth. And so, yes, I don't know if my host got anything necessarily, but I hope you did. That you can take back to your relationships, that you can love one another.
We need to get the little box thing so we can make the sounds.
If we keep not buying pizza, then we might can afford to get the box.
Look, bruh, don't do that here. Don't bring that here. That's why you choking.
That's not why I'm choking. It's because I've been fending off an attack from the children who have been trying to take me under, because every time I'm eating, they want to eat. And you know what that means? I got to share, because those little grubby buggers just stare at you all pitifully looking, or they cry.
They cry.
And so
yeah. Then you have
give
to
them
share.
something like today. I got 3 bottles of water. This is, again, nothing to do with where we're going with today's episode. So I got 3 bottles of water. And every time I would get a bottle of water, guess what little grubby bugger would want to come? Our children. And you know what I did? I stuck the water bottle in their mouth, and then I watched them proceed to spit back the nasty stuff that was already in their mouth before. So I was done drinking from that water bottle. So I went through 3 that I never got to finish, because every time I got one, they came, they drank, they backwash. Not for me. That's not cute. That's not cool. Sucking out the snot and all that people do. I'm not that guy.
It's cool. You don't have to be.
So yeah, that's parenting. That's not in the series. So we've talked about the beginning of the relationship and all the things that entails, how people date in modern times, best ways to navigate cost, how it can look and feel, depending on where someone takes you, how much they're willing to spend, all of that. And we had a couple with us talking about some tips and tricks that they have in their relationship that makes it successful. We kind of added in our 2 cents, heard some great stories. Shout out to Black churches and putting people on the spot. And then we have now come to the end, so to speak.
And so I kind of want to preface this, because obviously we're married, but we're
not ending.
We're not. It's forever. Yeah. Yay.
So she's dead.
Anyway, it's like we obviously have no thoughts on what it would look like for our marriage to end.
I mean, we talked about them.
I mean,
it's bleak. It's very bleak. So
okay,
we're not going to go there, but we have thoughts. Well, I have thoughts. Go ahead.
Are you sure?
I mean, you were speaking for me, and I just wanted to clarify. I have thoughts.
Okay, so he has thoughts. But obviously we've ended relationships before. You've been through a divorce. I've seen people go through divorce.
Yep. I mean, they know.
They know.
I feel like there's something I get to say. No? If I was like, oh, you got beat in your last relationship, like, I should allow you to say that. I don't think she got beat in her last
Domestic abuse is not funny. I don't understand why that's the example you would jump to, but I get it. You're going to the extreme. Jesus. You made me forget my oh, this is going to be a good pod. And obviously, talking about in the relationships is always it's interesting to hear people's different perspectives, just because everybody doesn't handle breakups the same way. We're obviously not advocating for people to be breaking up. We're not telling people to go get divorced and all these things. It's a reality of the world that we live in now. Divorce rate is super high in church, in the world, just everywhere. People break up way more nowadays than they stay together. So that's just the reality of some people's situations. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I had a better point, but and now it's gone.
Okay. Well, so as she said, we've been in a couple different relationships. Have you always dumped the guy? Have you been dumped? Like, what's kind of your experience?
I'm awful at ending relationships.
Actually, I know that.
I'll be 100% honest. With the exception of my last relationship before we got together, all of my relationships, like, I knew when they were over. With the exception of when I was with Greg and just kept going back and forth. All of the other relationships, I was just kind of like slowly faded away into the distance and never really eventually the words do get said like, hey, we're not together anymore. But I'm like the ghoster. I am the ghoster.
Wow.
Because again, I'm not good with conflict. Mostly because I get really angry and I'm a passionate person. And so if you've pissed me off, there's no scenario in which a conversation to end the relationship that it's going to go well. There's just none. And I can think of quite a few times where I did have that conversation and it was bad. I've broken a windshield before.
Because you got dumped?
No, we were arguing.
You dumped someone and broke a windshield?
Wait. When you put it like that, it sounds really bad. But what was happening is we were arguing because he didn't agree with me in why we were breaking up. And I was standing at his car and I was just
you broke his windshield.
I did. I
don't know. It could have been I guess there would have been a window pane. Oh man, please continue. I haven't heard this.
And, we were arguing, and I slammed my hand down on the window, and
down on the window.
Yeah, it was boom, boom.
So you're outside the car.
Yeah, we were outside the car.
So you broke the front windshield.
Yes.
That's the thickest glass on the whole car.
I didn't break it. It didn't shatter and fall into the car.
That's impossible.
Yeah, I cracked it though, and obviously, I paid for it because
after y'all broke up.
Yeah, that was totally my fault. And it was wrong of me to have done it. So I paid for it.
Okay. I know a lot of women wouldn't.
Oh no, that was 100% on me.
Wasn't Blue Can Trail? She bust windows out the car. Is that who it was?
No, that was Jasmine Sullivan.
No, I bust the windows out your car.
How are you gonna argue with me? It was Jasmine Sullivan.
I didn't know. I thought that song was old.
It's Jasmine Sullivan.
I understand. I didn't think that she had made that song that long ago.
Yes.
Okay.
See how long you've been a fan.
I've never claimed to be a huge Jasmine Sullivan fan.
No, I did. I broke the windshield, and then that's when I realized how upset I was. I knew I was upset, but when the window cracked, I was like, this is not good. And that was it. I sent him the money to get his windshield fixed, and then that was that. Other than that, I'm a ghoster. And I know it's awful. It is really bad, but That's typically how I break up with people. And then when I've been dumped, like, you know, if I'm really invested in the relationship, I'm sad for a little bit. But my old method was not very productive to life. So, yeah.
Very interesting.
What about you?
Yeah, so I am kind of unique, I guess, in that like I haven't been in a lot of real relationships. Like I've always had women friends, but I've never been like in a committed relationships. And I don't know why per se. I think it was because I didn't want to cheat on anyone, and I also didn't want to be stuck with anyone. And then the relationships I've had have been pretty long. So actually, that's not even entirely
I was
true.
going to say, like, who are you talking about?
Like, I dated a girl named Keisha one summer. Worst relationship ever. I hope. Well, I don't care if she listens to this or not. But that was the most volatile situation I've ever been in my life. Like, we argued every day, and like, I like debating. I don't like arguing. There's a difference.
There's a difference.
Like, we can have a discussion and go back and forth, and I'll throw petty shots and take shots, and you can even send some back. But once you turn into like an argument, once it gets like personal, once you like cross a certain line,
Character assassination and all
yeah,
that
once you
stuff.
start getting demonstrative and in someone's face and pointing fingers, and it's like, all right, this is going too far. So that was awful. That was a girl I told you we had already booked the trip to Mexico.
That's who that was.
That was that was just a disaster.
And then you still went on the trip.
I paid no money. I would not suggest that. If you can eat the cost, eat it, or pay the other person's ticket and replace them, because that was miserable. I had to. I don't know if I can say. I think the statute of limitations. I ended up bribing the police because I got into a situation. Like I walked really, really far in Cancun, and like it wasn't the height of some of the stuff that was going on because there's been stuff going on for a while, but that was a dumb decision. But yeah, that was just awful. I dated a girl before I went to college, and I dumped her because I was going to college, and why do I need a girlfriend in college? In Philly at that. Obviously I was married, but the person I married, like I dated them on and off for a long time. So that was a lot of my younger years because I got married by 25. Mm-hmm. And then once I got divorced, I really dated you. Like I dealt with some people, but I didn't date anybody. I went on a couple of dates with one person.
I was going to say, like, there was some people.
But like we weren't exclusive. Like it wasn't a relationship.
Weren't. I wasn't saying that we
No,
were
I'm saying any of those people.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Gotcha.
I took some people out a couple times, and
somebody bought you some stuff. I remember he was out here getting your best life on. Mm-hmm. It's still in the basement.
What did I get bought?
That vacuum thing.
Oh, that was not dating. That was somebody that bought it because I wasn't at the store and they were at the store. Stop.
That's not how you portrayed it to me, but okay.
I don't know what I portrayed. I mean, they bought it and I never paid them back. But I was supposed to pay them back, but I kind of wasn't going to pay them back. Also not important. But yeah, we never went. Yeah, that wasn't dating. So yeah, I don't think I've ever got dumped. I've got denied, turned down a bunch of times. But no, I don't think I can remember a time when someone like called me and was like, "Hey, this is no, that's not true." Because with my ex, while we were dating, there were times like one time I was working and I think her mom went out of town or something, but they went out. Something happened and I had to watch the house, and we had a mutual friend, and obviously when you're young and there's a free home, like you might say, "Hey, come hang out, just kick it."
Yeah.
And so me and him were there. And then next thing I know, some people showed up, people I didn't know. Mm-hmm. But I knew him. And ignorantly, I trusted him. So I said, "Hey, I got to go," because I had got off work. And I just come to let the cat out. I had to check on the cat. I hate cats. But I did that because you do the right thing when you're in a relationship. And then I left him and I said, hey, just lock up. Like, I'll come by and get the key from you. We'll meet up tomorrow. No problem. Actually, you know who's there?
Who?
Rest in peace, Terrence Harris.
Oh, man, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And again, at this point, I don't really care, given the person, but I'm pretty sure he lost his virginity that night. But needless to say, that's what happened when I was gone. So I showed up the next day. This like custom vase had been broken.
Oh my God.
And like I heard a lot from a bunch of different people of all the exploits that went down. And obviously I was like, never would have thought that that person would do that to me, given the circumstances. In hindsight, as we grew up a little bit more, I realized, yeah, that wasn't the right person to leave a key to a home. But needless to say, when the girl at that time and her mom returned home, like we put stuff in the cleaners, like we tried to clean everything up, but we could not replace the custom vase.
Yeah, you could not replace the vase.
And I think I came up with something. I had a good lie about the vase because everything else was kind of right, but her mom's room had like a bed skirt, and I didn't know how to put bed skirts on, or whoever. I don't think I was responsible. I don't know. Needless to say, it was on wrong.
Yeah.
And so eventually people started snitching, and she dumped me.
Did she take you back eventually?
She did. It took some time, and her mom was pissed, naturally. But what are you going to do? So yeah, for me, I haven't been dumped a lot. But I will say that in every situation, like it's been pretty clear when it's over. So I know some people, kind of go through that, I don't know, or ghosting someone puts you in a really odd predicament. I haven't been ghosted that I can think of, but I could see where that's like, so are we still together? Are we not? Because you're not responding, but you didn't break up with me. Like I'm pretty, like I need closure. Yeah. So I'm pretty effective at getting closure one way or the other.
That's good. So yeah, I'm not good at ending relationships.
Oh, can't really ghost someone in marriage. So I guess we'll be here for quite some time. So what would you say is the pettiest thing you've broken up with someone over?
I don't think I've broken up with anyone over something petty. Anytime I've broken up with someone, it was a serious reason. Like, obviously, cheating is
that's a thing. That works.
I guess.
So someone they canceled on you, or they, I don't know, didn't like your friend, or.
Oh, I mean, like there was one guy I was seeing for a little bit, and we would make plans. Like he would flake a lot, and for me, like that's a no thing. At one point in time in my life, I was an actually pretty prompt person. Like I would get to places on time, and I really hated waiting on other people, especially as far as dates go. I'm making reservations, all this good stuff, and you're late, and then you're just totally nonchalant about being late. Like that it used to be a huge pet peeve of mine. Until I realized like people just be late all the time and don't care. And so I just let it go. And I broke up with him because of that. Like you don't cancel on me at the last minute. And I felt like it was happening all the time. So for me, it's like either you're seeing a bunch of other people or you're just really bad at time management. Either way, this isn't working for me. So yeah.
Fair enough.
But as far as like petty breakups, I mean, when Kurt and I broke up, it was pretty petty the way that the whole argument started. But
yeah.
We got into a big disagreement about Eminem being like the best rapper ever, and that just kind of snowballed.
I think there's a lot that preceded that.
Yeah, it just kind of snowballed into some other stuff.
The final straw wasn't.
No, that wasn't I mean, like. There was other stuff, but I think we went like a week without talking. And this was around the time when I was like getting my application and stuff together for us to move. And I was just like, bruh, like, this isn't when this sort of thing happens. Like, I'm not about to spend all of this money. I'm not about to uproot my kid. I'm not moving to England if we can't figure an argument this simple out. And I think I just straight up asked him, I was just like, so do you still want me to move there or not? Because like things are in flux and I got to figure things out. And he was like, no. And I was like, okay, bet. And we broke up.
I feel like that's kind of like when you propose to someone and they're like, nah. Like, what do you do after that?
I mean, for technically I don't know, like even when I was going through, it's just like I probably could have made it work or could have handled the situation differently. But the thing was, we had already been together long distance for 2 years and some change. Mm-hmm. And it was like, I don't know how long this is supposed to be sustainable. And then even I was talking to one of his friends who was like, bottom line is somebody needs to move because it's not a sustainable thing. And I was willing to move. And then when you told me no, it's like, yeah, that's dead now. And so there was really no point in it after that, because at that point, it's like, what's the intention here?
I'm with you.
Yeah. So technically, we didn't break up over something petty, but the argument that...
Yeah. Understood.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned, and I've been in a situation too. Why would you say that when you're in a breakup, there's a lot of emotion. It can be a variety of different emotions. But what do you think what is the thing? And I've seen this on countless TV shows. I've seen this in countless real life situations. Why do people break up and then get back together?
That's a good one. I mean, a lot of it is just maturity and just being naive. A lot of the reason you think, especially if the person is trash, that they're going to change.
Okay.
You think, like they just need more time to get to the same level that you're on. And there's like, you break up and then they're telling you all the pretty things and saying all the stuff that, tugs at your heartstrings. And it's like, they're going to change. They're going to be better this time. At least that's what the cycle was like for me. Like going back and me and Greg went back and forth. And like, when I look back at it now, I'm just like, you were so stupid. But I wasn't stupid. I was just young. And I thought I was like in love. And I thought that one day he was going to be all these wonderful things. Because deep down, he was a nice person. He just, couldn't keep it in his pants. And that cycle is hard, I guess, to break once you're in it. And like your friends can tell you, so what are you doing with this idiot? Like, why are you back with him again? And like, until you are really done with someone yourself, there's really nothing someone else can say to you to help you see that this person is trash. And so it's a lot of it is just emotions and not necessarily thinking logically, I guess.
Interesting. And that's something for me. And like I said, we've seen it on TV. I've seen it in real life. I was in one situation where I did that, but outside of that, I've never done that. And even that was years apart. Like we were together, we broke up. We talked about the one situation earlier, but we got past that. But then when we broke up, like I went away to college. I was gone for years. They lived their life. We came back. We tried it. Eventually it didn't work. Every other situation, like when I was dead, it was dead. And that leads me kind of to my next question of when you break up with someone, can you still be friends?
I think it depends on why you broke up. Like, for example, Kurt. I don't have any ill feelings towards him. Like, I don't hate him. I don't dislike him or anything. He just wasn't ready for what I was ready for. And that's not necessarily his fault. He's in a different place in his life. Like, so, like, if you wanted to be friends, I mean, obviously, after speaking to you about it, like, would I be objective to being friends? No. And then I guess, like, and then I guess it also depends on, like, the level of the relationship. Like if we were talking and then we were exclusive for like 5 seconds and decided, no, this isn't going to work. Can we still be friends? Sure. I think it depends on the level of friendship that you have with a person before you get into the actual exclusive relationship. Like even like when we've had these conversations before, like I would like to think if we split that we could be friends. But you've made it very clear that if we ever got divorced or anything, like that wasn't going to be a thing, which to me is really sad because like deep down, especially when you really care about someone and you've built a life with someone and some sort of, there's a foundation of friendship, which like what we have, I would think that once you get past all that anger and bitterness and, you know, all those emotions that you go through after a breakup, there can be some semblance of friendship, especially for people who have kids. But, you know, everybody doesn't think like me. So I know that that's not necessarily the case.
Definitely. So I had this conversation in the group chat I was in, and it's interesting to hear different people's perspectives on it. One, I don't agree with your perspective and it's not a foreign or a small group of people that feel that way. I think my biggest thing is for me, I think, and to your point, I think it's how you break up. But for me, because I haven't been in a lot of deep relationships, in order for us to break up, like it had to be something like big. Mm-hmm. And so if it was something big, the likelihood is we aren't friends. Or you did something to me that I wouldn't think a friend would do. So I have no desire to be your friend.
Which makes sense.
But even if it was a civil, cordial breakup, I don't care about your life anymore. So I don't want to see what happens next. If you have more kids, or if you have kids, or if you move on and date a new guy, like, I don't want to see that crap. I don't care. It's no longer my problem. It's no longer my interest. I will move on. I will make new friends. I will have new relationships. You don't need to see me. I don't need to see you. So I also don't understand really the point in keeping friends after a breakup, because I feel like if we were friends, we would have stayed together. And if we're no longer together, I can find other friends, and so can you. So I think for me, it's twofold. And if we broke up, we're probably not on good friend terms. And the kind of person I am is once I'm kind of over it, I'm over it. And then two is like, I just don't see the value in keeping that kind of friend around.
And then I guess maybe I'm looking at it, not necessarily like friends. I'm texting you, calling you, hey, how's your day going? Let's hang out for your birthday type friend. I mean, like, I see you, we're still friends on social media. I like your picture. Or like when Kurt's dad passed away, like that's a huge deal in somebody's life. You know, I reached out, I'm really sorry that that's going on in your life. All my condolences. I did not reach out to Greg when his grandparents passed away. But I also don't have any contact information for him. So that's a thing.
But, that was actually something that came up in the group chat. And I'm like, if something important happened to me, mm-hmm. I don't want you reaching out to me. I don't even like you. Why are you? I don't care. Don't offer me your condolences. Like,
but that's what I'm saying. Like that's the one. I think that's the big difference in between the type of relationships that you have with people. Because again, if we broke up and something significant happened in your life, like regardless of how you might feel about me, I'm going to reach out and say, hey, I'm sorry that this happened. You know, I'm keeping you lifted in prayer. Regardless of whether you want to accept that or not, that's not my problem. But for me as a person, like, I don't understand how someone can mean so much to you in one stage of your life. And it's because you've moved on in your life, like you hate them. Or I'm not going to say hate, but there's just complete indifference to their existence.
Yes.
And to me, like I'm not that type of person.
But to me, they die with the relationship.
But they didn't.
But they did.
But they didn't. They're still alive. Their heart's still beating.
Not to me. Like, it's dead. Like, T.I. and Justin said, dead and gone.
Dead and gone.
Like, see ya. Wouldn't want to be it. Like, don't let the door
But
hit
why
you.
do you think that is for you?
I just don't see the point. Like, I'm not going to come to you for advice. When I'm going to ask you about relationship advice, I'm going to ask you about money advice. I'm not going to ask you about advice.
So, okay, quick question then. Mm-hmm. Because all of your way that you treat people is based on if they've done something wrong to you. Mm-hmm. But sometimes in relationships, and we see this all the time, people, what is it? Who was Dale Curry and...
She was out here doing some things.
But was she?
Yeah, you ain't here?
No, I have. I always know.
But
she filed for divorce.
Yeah, but she's apparently, according to him, she's been living with dude. And then another group chat, and I'm in a bunch, said that the guys in there said that one of them was in Cancun and saw her with him. And this was recent.
Oh, man.
So my understanding is, according to Dale,
she's a thought.
She's out there. She's been out there. They've been together. They haven't lived together. Dale.
So they've been separated.
He's saying she lives with him. She's saying, I don't live with him. I just live in like the same city. So I'm sure, and sadly, the way the world works, we're going to probably hear a lot more. Yeah, we're going to
hear a lot more details.
And Dale seems to be willing to share. Actually, no, I think TMZ got the documents that were filed, which is also crazy that you can get that. But
regardless of all of that, like they're the wrong example to use now. And I don't have another one. But they've been married for 30 years.
Yeah.
They've literally spent the majority of their life together. Mm-hmm. But at some point, they both probably realized, like I still have love for you, but I don't want to do this anymore. Like,
which is crazy to me that both people come to that conclusion.
I'm not saying that both people do. I'm just saying that it happens.
Yeah. Okay.
And people decide, I don't want to be married to you anymore.
Yeah.
And they get divorced. And again, you've just spent 30 years, 15, 20 years with someone. Just because y'all are divorced doesn't mean you hate that person now.
That's fair.
Especially in situations where it wasn't a bad split. You know, you took your money, I take my money, and we both move on with our lives. That doesn't necessarily breed a relationship in which you can't still communicate with the person. And again, I'm not saying like y'all are going to be best friends, buddy. I'm saying, again, like, happy birthday on Facebook. If I run into you in public, I'm not going to like cross the street and run in the other direction. Like, I don't know.
So when I'm like,
no, I know, because I know.
Don't send me a happy birthday. If I see you out, don't speak to me. Like, you are dead. And
in any scenario, if we
I can't think, like, obviously our situation would be different because we have kids, so we would be forced to communicate. But if, say, the kids were with someone, and say it was your girlfriend's was out, and I was out with guys, and the likelihood of this is very low. But in that scenario, if I saw you out, I don't want to speak to you. Like, we will talk about our relationship at that point is children. And if it ain't about the kids, so be it. Now, if the kids are with you and I see you out and you ain't telling me the kids with someone else, I'm probably going to ask, like, what the heck are the kids?
And given how you feel, I wouldn't even answer your question.
How you would not answer where are my kids?
I'd ignore you. The same way you ignore me.
Our relationship is the kids. You can't not answer where are the kids.
I'd be like, they're somewhere with a responsible person minding their business. You can call them if you need them.
And this is why, if we break up, we won't have a good relationship. This is why.
You've already told me how petty you would be.
I wouldn't be petty.
And again, like, you're listening to me say, regardless of what happens and regardless of why our relationship ends, I feel like we would still be able to fall back on our friendship of 20 years.
Meanwhile, when I'm asking where the kids are, you're going to tell me with a responsible adult.
And that's what no, Ray, because I'm sure if that were the scenario, like, I know the level of pettiness that you dive to on a regular basis. Like, as your ex-wife, you think you would just come up to me and say, where are my kids? there would be a whole lot of other stuff.
No, because there's other people around. So I don't make a scene. Now, if it was just somehow like we were I was at the gas pump and you got out and you was pumping gas and it was just us two and I'm looking in the car and I don't see no kids. That might be a different scenario.
I'd be like that with my boyfriend.
See? I would accidentally take the gas pump out of my car and it might just happen to trickle over to her side and I could be stressed out. So I might be smoking cigarettes. And then I would need to smoke a cigarette.
So I just got you on camera saying that you would set me on fire.
That's not what I said.
No, that's
I didn't say that at all. I didn't say that at all.
Premeditated.
I said
I'm saving this for my personal file.
And it's in our cloud, which they're scanning now. Thanks, Apple, you creeps. But yeah, so that's why I think you're making my point here. Why, when I'm done, and it sounds like when you're done, it would not be cordial. So we probably should stay together. No,
I totally could be cordial. Like, yeah. I 100% have that.
The law is, this is not what this conversation is going. So we're going to leave this alone because that's a whole different conversation for a different day. You believe you can remain friends. I don't, and I don't think you need to. And if I'm dating a woman, I don't want her being friends with her ex because why are y'all friends? You don't need them for advice. Because that was the other thing that came up is there's actually a guy that presented this was, well, they might have been wise and provided insight. No. So what you're telling me,
I'm not asking for advice from an ex.
Right. You're dating me, but you need advice from your ex. And God forbid you better not be asking your ex about how to deal with a man situation because that fool will give you the wrong information because he ain't me. And that'll get you all screwed up. Not important at this point. But we did talk about our kids and our relationship, so we won't deal with that. But before we go, I did want to talk about, because this is a unique situation, and I've had a couple guys actually be in this situation, and it was tough. Mm-hmm. But what happens when you haven't married someone, but you've dated them for years? Like, say Kurt was local, and y'all dated for a while. Obviously, he's now been around your kid or kids in different scenarios. In essence, a life has been built. Now, you're not married, you're dating, but say you date for 3 to 5 years, and that they've been to recitals, they've been to sporting events.
Parent figure.
They've been a parent figure. What happens when you two break up? How does that split work? And vice versa. Maybe you've been attached to their kid. Like, what does that look like?
I guess for me personally, I've seen it on both sides. One, it's always difficult, no matter what the situation is, in a breakup when there are kids involved. And obviously, a kid doesn't necessarily understand that, okay, the relationship's over, so that means, like, I can't see them anymore. Right. Like, it's my friend. Personally, like, I guess it's a hard one. It's up to the parent. Like, I understand if we're not together anymore, there's no reason for you to be around my kid anymore. But I also understand you've spent 5 years, like you said, for Kurt, like, their interaction was minimal, but Courtney, she would talk on the phone with him as frequently as I did, and that was like every day. And so when that was no longer an interaction she had questions, like lots of questions. But I wasn't like, oh, let's call him so that you can talk to him, because I didn't even want to talk to him. But you know, you just kind of gotta handle it in whatever situation will be best for your kid, because especially if their other parent, like actual parent, isn't involved, and that person has played a big role in their life for however long you guys were together. And this is like years being together. Right. I'm not talking about months. You know, my friends, when they broke up a couple years ago, it was like she'd been involved in her kids' lives, his kids' lives, for as long as one of them had been alive. Like, they'd lived together, like, put them on school bus, took them to doctor's appointments. Like, she was like mom. And then they broke up, and it was like losing her kids. Right. And she still sees them occasionally, but obviously not as much as she would like to. Um,
And do you think that's better or worse for the kids to kind of prolong the potential need for a break? So, and by break, I mean ending. So if like, because at some point, both of you are going to move on with your lives and start new relationships. So the kids will be meeting a new person.
Yeah.
So do you feel like, is it better? And I've seen it typically with clean breaks. And both situations for me were with men, and they struggled with it. In some cases, they kind of held on to relationship longer than they needed to
because of the
kids. So do you feel in that scenario you're talking about, is that better because it's like the kids never quite get the break? Or do you think just, hey, you sit them down, this is the situation, and you're not going to see Miss or Mr. anymore?
I think it depends on your kid. Okay. And again, how the other people that they have in their lives to kind of like make up for this person being gone. Okay. Again, like if you're in a situation where the other parent, male or female, is trash and they're not involved in the kid's life, right. You're taking away someone, or not necessarily taking away, but they're losing someone who has been filling that void for them. And so for them, again, it's like, no, y'all might not be together, but I still really care, love, whatever, this person. And so you do have to have a conversation with them about, hey, we're not together anymore. And just kind of see how that goes. But that's just one important reason to be careful about the people that you bring around your kids from the very beginning. Like, even I told you, like, I really enjoy you. I really want this to be a thing, but I also don't want to bring someone into Courtney's life and they're not here for forever, because we ain't got time for this back and forth, toxic anything. Yeah. Because kids get attached a lot faster than adults do. Like, kids, have way more emotions, bigger emotions, and they don't know how to express those emotions. So you're going through a breakup and like you've moved on and, you're in the clouds, but your kid is still hurting because they're not seeing this person that they used to see all the time. They're not getting that time with that person that they used to get all the time. And it's like, well, how come nobody cares about me? And that can be a really hard conversation to have with a kid.
Gotcha. So I'll give my 2 cents and then move to one final question. Obviously, y'all have followed us for 27 episodes now. I think you have a good idea of how I feel about it. Like, I used to smoke cigarettes. Thank God I don't do that anymore, but I just broke. I used to smoke weed for a couple different reasons. Killed that. I used to go out. Most things in my life, like,
when you're done with them, you're done
breaks.
with them.
I don't try and elongate or drag things out. I think 1, it's easy to fall back into it, and then 2, I think it takes longer to move on and get past. I believe the same is true with kids. I've only been around really our circle of kids. Like, I've had some godchildren I've kind of been around, but I was more friends with their parents than obviously the kids. So I would buy gifts, come around occasionally, but through life, like, I haven't been as involved in a couple kids' lives that I initially was when they were a lot younger. So for me, and I guess in those situations, granted, I still come around occasionally. It's like, I'm just a guy. I'm not the important guy. Yeah, thanks. I get what you're saying. So that leads me to the last point of, do you feel so we've talked about relationships, and say there's a break. It can be through marriage. It can be through just general relationships. If it's for a reason, and I think we both understand that for a relationship, then typically it's a big deal. Something fairly drastic occurred. When there are kids involved, do you feel the unoffended party, or the party that was hurt, owes it to the offending party to protect them from the kids? And so what I mean is, say you had an abusive relationship, physically abusive, and you in that relationship. Do you feel you owe it to protect the kids from, the reason we broke up is because he was abusive? or he was a cheater, or he was a gambler, or whatever it is.
Right.
When they're of age enough to kind of understand they're not around and they want to know why, do you feel like it's a disservice to be honest with the child?
I do. One, because kids have no place in grown folks' business. You can put it simply like, things aren't working, I'm not happy, however you want to sugarcoat it for a kid, to explain to them that the relationship is over. But telling them, oh, whatever reason that the relationship is over, they don't need to know that. One, just because, and I think for me personally, like I look at like how my mom handled her relationship with, when she ended relationships with my dad and my sister's dad. Like, she never was just like, oh, he sucks at life. You know, she never did any of that. It was, we're not together anymore. We're not happy. They'll still be a part of your life. They still love you, but this isn't working for me as a grown up. Because that can be a lot to put on a kid, especially in a situation that's like super negative, like abuse. You and whatever age, like that can be a lot to put on a kid. Now you can explain to an older child, look, this is kind of what's going on. But even in some situations, you don't even want to go into any explicit detail, because it's like, you don't want your kid to hate their parent. Or now, and this is okay, so, and for clarity, this only applies for like their actual parent, not like some person you were dating.
Okay.
But even still, like, I think it's a really fine line to walk, because you can tell your kid all the bad things, and that person cannot be around for a long time. And then when they do come back around, they're a whole different person. And now you look like you kept me away from my parent and told me all this stuff, and all this stuff, I don't see it. Like, there's so many ways that just telling all the information can go wrong, I think.
And that's actually where I was going to go with my perspective, which is different.
Oh, I know.
Is that I feel like you set yourself up for, you kept me from my parent for no reason, or it couldn't have been that bad, or why couldn't you just get over it? Or I feel like there's so much gray in, especially to your point, if they come back and are a good person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why wouldn't you let me go over there? Why didn't you let me see my dad or my mom when whatever? But say they were on drugs or whatever. Like, I feel like you were having to eat, and a lot of this comes from a show we kind of finished it, but the situation was, there was a married couple, and the dad I don't want to get into that. The dad ended up admitting he was gay, and he wanted men.
Mm-hmm.
And so the mom, like, the dad would show up, and the mom is like, you can't be here. And the kid is like, why can't dad be here? Why is dad staying at someone else's house?
Yeah.
And the mom is like, he just can't. And the kid is like, well, why not? And it began to cause a rift between the kid and obviously the parent that's already dealing with a lot of issues and trauma in that situation. And you can input a lot of different scenarios. But I feel like that adds an extra layer of weight that you have to carry on their behalf. And I don't feel like you owe them that. And I do think it matters in how graphic the detail is based on the age of the kid.
Yeah,
you don't want to
for
traumatize
sure.
the kid. But
if
the world is a traumatizing place.
But that's the difference, though. If they're old enough to ask questions and understand, the explanation behind it, then sure, if you decide to have that conversation, you decide to have that conversation. But at the same time, you still have to be ready to deal with whatever emotions come with that. Not just from the kid, but from the ex person now at this point.
Right.
And that can go a whole lot of ways. And I personally just don't think, again, that kids need to know the explicit details of a parent's, their parents' relationship. Like even now, like my mom, I talk to my mom all the time, and she'll tell me stuff. It's like, I didn't need to know that. I didn't need to know that at all. But again, I know that's me. But then I know other things about my mom. And like, as a grown up, I understand why you walk away from a situation. Because one, I'm a grown up. I've got my own kids. I've been through my own experiences. But I don't know necessarily how well you compute those sorts of things when you're, especially in your like teenage years, and those relationships that are important to you, that you're modeling your world after, are falling apart, and these are the reasons that they're falling apart. So I don't know, like,
Very, very interesting. I mean, I think it's really nuanced, and then like we're not going to talk about support or anything like that on this episode.
Oh no, because you had a really good conversation on Facebook. I don't know. Again, like if y'all don't follow this man on Facebook or Twitter or the socials, you should, because he be posting stuff. I have to go onto the comments and put a little disclaimer about that being just his opinion and not the Bond Chronicles opinion, because a lot of those sorts of things that are super nuanced, like we don't have the same viewpoint on. And, for clarity's sake, I have to let people know, like, we don't agree to the same foolishness. But that post, it do be foolishness sometimes.
Oh, man.
Like that whole...
Just keep it real.
That whole point about child support, like, fix it, Jesus. It was a really interesting conversation. So if you follow him on the socials, you can also get involved in those conversations. And this guy is, like you said, he welcomes the debate, regardless of how it might make people feel or how people may perceive him to be because of these opinions. But deep down, he's really a nice...
I am. I'm nice. I'm caring. I care about the people I care about. And the people I don't.
But do you hear that, though?
No, but that's the thing.
That's not what they teach us in church.
What do they teach us in church?
You care about the people you care about, and then the people you don't care about, you don't.
I care about their soul. Like, I don't want to go to hell, but
But they're dead to you.
Yeah, when they've wronged me and that season of my life has died. Like, I'm not going to sit in a high school or middle school classroom.
Again.
It's dead.
That's not what they teach us in church.
Well, we hear different messages.
Apparently we do.
Just kidding. Definitely just kidding.
Who's lying to the people now?
I mean, I feel that way. We're not taught that. We are taught that. But my point that I was trying to make was actually a good point. And that you only have so much love to give. And so if you spread yourself so wide trying to love everybody, you won't be able to love anybody.
That's not true. God put the capacity in all of us to love everyone and whatever level that they're at.
So you can love everybody.
Yeah.
Equally.
Yeah, for sure. What's with that face? You gonna ask me a question on camera?
No. I just know some people you don't love equally to the way you love me and your kids. Some people that, there's been some situations that have occurred that I didn't see the love. That gentleman's windshield did not feel.
But what did I do? What did I do? I broke your windshield. I paid for your windshield to be replaced.
And then I ghosted you.
I mean, we were breaking up anyway.
Probably don't love him like you love your mom.
I don't.
So it's not equal.
There's love.
So you can't give the same level of love to everybody. That's the point. It's humanly impossible. So
You do.
I divvy up my pie of love with larger slices than you do. You have tons of little big slices, and I have big slices of love that I give. And when I give it, I give big slice.
Big slice. Like that slice of pizza you didn't give me yesterday.
I didn't give her pizza because we have a bunch of stuff we're trying to get, like the machine that makes the noise. And so we're trying to be responsible with our spending.
Pregnant. Pregnant people get to eat what they want when they want to eat it. That's just a thing.
That's a broke person's mentality.
It's not a broke person's mentality. That's a thing.
We're going to level up. We are going to rise above.
Order me pizza.
When she goes low, I go high.
Pizza. It's really that simple. I'm hungry.
It's not going to happen.
Give me pizza. How hard is that?
It's really hard when there's lots of bills calling your name. Yeah. Great. We love you guys. So in life,
equally large portions.
Yeah, you guys, you get large portions. Other people, not as much. And to her point, stuff I say on my social for church people, if you're watching this, or for anything else, I don't speak for our pastors. I don't speak for our church. I don't speak for Geico or my job. I don't speak for this podcast. I speak for Raymond. If it's Raymond's page, if it's Raymond's Twitter, it's my opinion, not someone else's.
Not anyone else's.
I don't do that. I can stand on my own too, 10 toes down, all day long. Thanks for speaking life into me, dear. Yes, that's what we get taught at church. So, in life, things happen. You have the power to choose what you do. Choose wisely. Always bet on you. And if you've been blessed by us, please go on ahead and bless us at our Cash App. We are doing great things, and we really appreciate the support and the likes and shares. But you know what they say? Money talks. So thank you again. Join us next week. We will potentially have some great new guests, depending on how things go. This is continuing to evolve and grow. We are really, really working on some really, really big things, and we really appreciate all your support.
Yeah, cool stuff coming.
Don't sound so excited. Yeah. Woo! Bing! I wish I could hit a button, but we got to buy pizza all the time, so I can't afford it yet. But God willing, and with your help, we will get there. Stay tuned. Have a great week. Until next week. Love y'all.